Hello and welcome back here in the Bricklink studio, and welcome back to another new update from my big cinema project. But today we have one of the most important updates ever on that project. Today we are going to finish up that big theater one, and we are also going to include building up the ceiling on top of it, starting the movie for the first time with the completed theater one. So stay tuned for one special update in today's video. And here comes already the first big step. As you can see here, that's the final moment. I'm just putting in the last seat here in our theater one. I think there are more than 600 seats inside here, and now all of them are placed here in our theater one. There are just some parts missing, especially some of these 1x2 tiles in red for the areas between the seats, but that's not a big problem. I can include them later on when I have ordered some new parts, but every seat is now included here. So we have a lot of free seats for our community project, and as you can see here, these are these little gaps here, these where I need a lot of more of these 1x2 tiles in red. But the most important part is that every seat is now done. Everything is done here, so all the minifigures can be placed. And you can see long time ago I have started printing on these parts here, thinking about how I can do the bottom parts here. And I'm not sure right now if I'm still going to that way, doing that very interesting kinds of tiles, but that's something for the future. What I want to do in today's update is building up the missing wall here on the left side, and then on top I want to build up the big roof on top of it. That's a very special project, but before we can do that, I started working here on the back side. These are our big speakers. I'm not sure if I'm going to stay with that design. I especially did that in a gray color because I wanted to have some different color, not once again in black. But on the other side, I'm not sure if that's a good decision. You can share your opinion in the comment area, of course. Maybe I'm going to change that back to a black color, which is more realistic. But in my case, I just wanted to test out if you can use another color, not only black. By the way, you can see I already started working here on the missing wall on the back side, and you can see that very big window here. It's a little bit bigger than it would be in the reality, but that's a place where there's going to be the projector room in the back side of that area looking down here. So in the reality, there would be a projector. Here in the cinema itself, it's just a screen on the front side. But I want to have a very realistic look, so that's the place where there's going to be a projector room. Some people already asked me the last time on the last update if there's going to be a projector room. That's a big yes to that, but that's something for a future update. For today, very important part once again is to build up our big roof on top of the theater. But just before, I got a new letter here from Germany with 2 new minifigures. As you might know, I have a running community project. You can send in your minifigures in a city style or in a cosplay fantasy style to be placed here in the cinema. And that's, by the way, the Oscorp Tower. The guy wrote in the letter, he's asking when I'm going to start once again working on the Oscorp Tower. That's something I really have on my list, but I'm not sure right now when I can get there. But by the way, the 2 new minifigures are now placed here. So we have 1,467 minifigures in the city, an increasingly, an amazing increasingly number. And yeah. Also can see that I already have done the back side of our cinema. I've also included some more of these speakers here, once again in that dark gray color, dark bluish gray. And yeah, that's now the moment where we can work on the top of that theater one, adding the ceiling. But you also can see now, if you're looking down here the street, how big that cinema building is going to be at the end. Of course, that black wall is not the outside wall. There's a stripe here. There we are going to include some office buildings, a projector room, and other rooms, of course. And that's the first time we can really look through that window here from the projector room into the big theater one. And I really like that special look. That's something we're not going to see once again after everything is finished. But I really think it's a very important little detail to have that glass here, and also that room here for the projectors. But now coming back to the theme of building up the roof, I have decided to use these big 16 by 16. It's not a plate. It's a part that has been especially designed for these big, kind of framed paintings you know from Lego. And they have a special ability. They are very stable, and also they are very do not have a lot of weight. That's especially good here for building up a big construction like that. Already added some of these parts last time, started working here, but I got a little problem because it's really hard. I talked about it last time. And when you're building big structures like that, you get a lot of stress problems with your bricks. So it was very, very hard to include these big plates on top of here. And I also lost a little bit of blood here because it was very hard. So I tried to knock these parts on. As you can see here, I was really bleeding. The blood was running down my arm. So I was just putting my hand on top of it here, knocking on top of it, and then I just, I don't really know, I get a big scratch, but yeah, the show must go on, of course, so I really have to build up all the missing plates here. I don't really know what the real name of that part is, but at the end, I got a lot of these. As you might see, also I have 2 layers of these. Little bit one start off, so it's a little bit more stable. And also started once again the screen inside here. That's the Dreams series. You might know that it's an official Lego series that's now running here. And that's a 23-inch screen, and I really think that's a very nice size. It's a little bit like an IMAX cinema here. Now it's the first time that we have a completely finished. Of course, we have some little parts missing, like these little tiles, and also we have to talk about the speakers. But it's the very first time that the cinema or the theater one is now done. The screen is running, and I really like the overall look. Of course, there are a lot of minifigures missing. Yeah, keyword community project, of course, but that's the very first time that it's running. It's looking right. It should be. And I'm really, really impressed that it looks now how I had it in my mind a long time ago. Of course, the building itself is not done. As I talked before, we need to add the missing rooms here, like the projector room, of course. That's the first time we can really look into here and see the screen here from the projector room. And yeah, I really like that overall look now. And I really think it's going to look now a little bit more better when we are going to add the final parts here on the front. And it's not so lot of stuff missing still, but the most parts are now done. And I'm really, really, glad that everything came out how it looks right now. And if you want to see more of my projects here in the city of Brickhead or other projects here in the Brickling Studio, just subscribe. And of course, as always, feel free to have comment in the comment area, whatever you have in mind, maybe some ideas or whatever. But at the moment, I'm really, really glad that everything looks like it should. Everything is running. The movie is running, and I really like how that screen is now here inside, and it really gives that IMAX cinema conclusion I really wanted to have a long time ago when I had the idea of building a big cinema here in my city. So a very big and important step is now done here on the project. And of course, it's not the final step, but it's almost done, the project, especially only the upper part, because I'm still thinking about expanding the cinema project under the table, maybe adding 1 or 2 smaller theaters there, but that's something for a distant future. Now my main goal is to really finish up the upper parts here. So stay tuned for future updates, and bye.